In this video, I'll describe something. In this video, I'll describe how you can stay motivated during your graduate studies. There's lots of different ways that we're motivated, but there's a really solid way to understand your motivation relative to the things that you need to do, and that's through the use of self-determination theory. When there's something that you're meant to do and you're supposed to do, read a paper, write a paper, do some analysis. All of these things are tasks that we're supposed to do, but often we might not feel like we want to do them. That feeling is being amotivated. It's not in you. You're not going to do it. Think about anything that you would want to do, and the reason you want to do it is because of something you're going to gain after you've done it. So for example, you might be extrinsically motivated to go to medical school because at the end of that experience, you'll become a doctor who earns a certain income. Extrinsic motivation is tricky, right? Because it's something where as soon as you take away that external motivator, it can diminish your motivation. So for example, if I said to you, I will give you $100,000 to watch, I don't know, all of my videos, you'll probably do that. But if I then say I will give you zero money, then you might not be motivated to do it. So extrinsic motivation is nebulous, not nebulous. That's why extrinsic motivation is ephemeral. It's problematic to only rely on being extrinsically motivated, because as soon as you take away that extrinsic motivator, you stop wanting to do the thing. It's especially problematic when you're trying to do something that's difficult, right? Because the extrinsic motivator may only be something that is motivating until things get really hard, and then that might not be motivating anymore. Sometimes you end up doing the thing, but often you end up not caring enough about the extrinsic motivator to keep doing it. The gold standard of motivation is intrinsic motivation, simply wanting to do it because you want to do it. You can think of anything that you just want to do because you enjoy it, like a hobby or writing, for example, maybe not writing, something that you're motivated to do because it's something that you enjoy or that you like, or that is sort of a part of who you are. All of these things are intrinsic motivators, and that's the most powerful form of motivation because nothing outside of you can change it. It's something that comes from within you. So when you're thinking about motivation and when you're thinking about how to stay motivated doing something difficult, then think about intrinsic reasons why you would want to do that. Self-determination theory, though, is more than just differentiating between intrinsic, extrinsic, and amotivation. There are actually things that help create environments that are motivating, both internal environments within you and external environments as well. One of the first things that's important in order for you to be motivated, especially intrinsically motivated, is for you to feel a sense of autonomy, a sense of you're the one directing your actions. One of the things that we all experience that somewhat limits our autonomy is taking a class. Yes, you chose to take that class, but once you're in it, you don't actually choose what you have to do in order to succeed. The professor does. So there's this interesting exchange between I take a class because I want to learn content. I'm intrinsically motivated to do it. But then I enter into this relationship with a faculty member that says, well, but in order to do that, I have to do what they want me to do, right? Assignments, readings, discussions, all the stuff that is a class is not decided by the student. And this is why some students can feel unmotivated because they feel like their autonomy is being suppressed in some ways. There's this tension that can undermine autonomy, especially if you're not sure why the assignments are structured a certain way. So one way to get around it is to simply ask, what's the reasoning behind doing this assignment, doing this lab, writing this paper? And the more you understand the reasons why you've effectively ceded some of your autonomy over to someone else, you might find that you actually get it back because now you understand the reasons and you choose to do it in this somewhat slightly constrained environment of a class. Competence is this idea that you can actually do a thing. So think of the opposite of competence, incompetence, right? When you can't do something and you don't feel like you have command over the thing you're trying to do, those feelings of incompetence undermine your motivation because you actually think, well, I want to do something, but I'm not doing it well. And competence is actually something that is often at stake when you're trying something new, when you're taking a difficult class, or you're writing a dissertation, or you're taking an upper level, graduate level course, or anything that's new that you're learning. By definition, you don't know it. So you're not going to necessarily feel super competent when you're doing it. It's until after you've mastered the material that you'll begin to feel these feelings of competence. And the key in these situations where you feel like you can't do it, or you're not feeling like you're prepared or able to do the task at hand, is to find these moments where you can do part of it, right? Change the grain size. Don't think of, for example, a dissertation as something you do all in one go. Instead, a dissertation is made up of many chapters, many of which you could probably start writing hypothetically as soon as you enter graduate school. You could write a literature review, or you could begin to write an introduction, because all an introduction is why do I want to study this thing, or why do I think that this is a contribution? So find these moments, these smaller tasks that you can do, and you'll find that these moments of feeling competent begin to stack. And then you start to forget that you're incompetent when it comes to certain other things. Now, incompetent is a very harsh word. Frankly, it is what it is, right? If I can't do something, I lack the competence to do it. But don't see it as an attack of your person. Once you slide into that, once you start to see that incompetence is an attack on you, then you recede and you decide not to engage in an activity. And that is the death of learning, to not plow through these feelings of anxiety, of unease, of lack of competence, to get to the other side of feeling competent, of feeling a sense of mastery over the thing that you're doing. So it's important to plow through these feelings, because on the other side, you will become competent and you'll feel intrinsically motivated to continue to engage in fairly difficult things. Relatedness is this idea that you're not in it by yourself. There are others there struggling with you. And finding these other folks can give you a sense of belonging, a sense of feeling related to others in doing something difficult. If you don't understand how to do something, maybe find a study group, or maybe work with others who are similarly struggling. And just by doing that, you form this cohort of folks who are related to one another in the tasks that they're attempting. And that alone will help when it comes to being intrinsically or moving toward intrinsic motivation. It's important to know that intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation, they're not at war with one another. They're just different. So it's important for you, when you're thinking about why you're motivated or not motivated to do something, to not necessarily pit them against each other. Sometimes it's perfectly reasonable to be extrinsically motivated. Most of us want to be employed because we want to get paid. Extrinsic motivators are fine. The challenge is that when that's all there is, when it's just extrinsic motivation, because then you'll find that you're chasing carrots without knowing why you're running. At the same time, you don't necessarily only want to feel that you can only be intrinsically motivated, or else you won't do anything. Because that, again, is to be self-centered, is to only look inward and saying, well, I will only do it if I feel like doing it. That is choosing to withdraw into oneself and not engage in communities around you. Sometimes it's perfectly fine to be pulled by something outside of you to do it. And finding that balance between extrinsic motivators that are healthy, or at least not unhealthy, and intrinsic motivation that isn't dominant and forcing you to only do things that you feel that you want to do, is what's tough. Being motivated to do something does not mean you will enjoy doing it all the time. Working out, for example, is enjoyable, but not all the time. In fact, sometimes it's just plowing through suffering in order to become healthier. But at the other end of it, it is enjoyable, right? The body that you get afterwards is something that feels healthier. Hopefully, these are some tools that you can use to begin to diagnose reasons why you might not be motivated to do something, and to begin to intervene and change some of those things. Motivation is tricky. You'll get there, but share your experiences with others. Like and subscribe if you like this content, so I can know that I'm on the right track.